Good evening, everyone. Oh, wait, it's a Centralist. Sorry, wrong show. Not just teasing y'all. I hope everyone really is having a good evening today. This is the Centralist. Right now, you have Dell and Laura Lee with me, and we don't know who might show up and might not show up. So I think it's like 11 invites out, so you never know. But we were going to get into some pretty good discussions today. A lot of stuff we want to talk about. I see they may free our Canadian friends, so that's a good thing. But
yes,
I'm telling you, it's all because of Whitey, man. Whitey's people was going to come for y'all. And Pink Short said, "Oh, we got to free you." Oh, somebody was laughing.
Like Black Friday today in our city because everything finally opened since Easter. You could actually buy things.
I imagine people were going,
people were around all the way around. I was telling Del all the way around the building, around the back of the news. I went out to one shop and it took me 2 hours.
Because I can imagine it did. I remember when they first started. See, it was different for us because we weren't really actually ever on a full lockdown. Even though a lot of people were behaving, still, you could get out and do some stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it started trickling out a little more. And then all of a sudden, because I remember I was driving back and forth to New Orleans for the first 7 months, and there was nobody but like me and Sam. We like, 100 miles an hour, no cops anywhere. Nobody cared what you was doing. It usually takes me 55 minutes to an hour to get to New Orleans. I was getting there in 44 minutes. I was cruising. And one day I just blew by a trooper. He didn't even bother looking at me. He's like, I can't arrest you, dude. I can't put you in jail. I ain't even going to worry about you. I just, but now the traffic's back to normal. It's packed. You got to weave and bob. And, so that's why I'm glad, I'm not driving my truck right now. I'm driving a Camry. So Camry can zing. She gets up and rolls. She'll do about 160. She get between the cars and go. And so it's nice to, it's nice because we know we're going to get more work out of it. As my company is my daytime job, which pays for my nighttime job. Well, not as much as it used to, but still, we're starting to pick up again, and which is a good thing and a bad thing because I want to bring my people to do my house from the storm. And every time I think I'm going to get a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, well, guess what? We're going to do this or we're going to do that. And I don't want to bitch about it because, it's work and you want the money and you want to make sure you're feeding yourself and paying your damn bills. But still, I want my house done. My roof looks good. I have to take a picture of it and put it on it. They did a good job on the roof. But I still got a lot of stuff to do, man. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, Mike from Canada, the other day asked me, he said, man, you want me to come down and help you out? And I said, you're going to drive all the way from Canada, come down here and work with me 3 weeks and go home? Yeah. He said, well, I might stay. I said, you got to get you got to become legal. He said, no, Joe, nobody gets legal in America no more. I'm like, and it's funny when he said that because I said, we're going to be talking about it on a radio show tonight. Because, I might as well segue into it now. So when I see the report, I'm going to do a proper intro in a minute, but we'll do this and we'll come back. So I'm listening to NPR of all people, the National Public Radio. Oh my God, left as hell is what it is. Yeah. And so I'm listening to 800,000 people have now crossed the border seeking asylum, and at least 150 to 200,000 of them are headed straight for Canada. I'm like, Jesus, that's like a chunk of people. You only got 40 million people. That's like a chunk of people coming to y'all. 800,000 sounds like a lot for the United States, but we got 350 million. Yeah, we're going to absorb it somehow. But 200,000 plus whatever y'all get normally, and and I know you've been getting a larger Muslim population, so it's kind of weird. And Canada's kind of grown population-wise in the last decade, quite a bit actually. Because I remember 10 years ago we were doing a radio show and we were picking on them because y'all were like half the size of California. But like really, you got the largest landmass in the world, and you're getting half the people California does. I was like, that's unfair, man. That's like the rich people not being taxed fairly. Y'all need to give up some of that land. I'm sure Russia and China would be happy if you did. But anyway, so y'all both live there. Is this going to even affect y'all? It may. It's going to affect us somewhat, but
Yeah, it'll affect us, like Del said, right? Del, we're most people in Canada live fairly close to the U.S.-Canada border.
I can understand that.
Was Del 60 miles?
Yeah, it's within about 100 miles, 150 miles of the U.S. border. That's where about 75% of the population of Canada reside. And I guess the big part about this, I guess, with having huge amounts of immigration coming in, is that they go to the larger centers, which are already overpopulated already, like places like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, even like Calgary, Edmonton areas and stuff like that. And so we don't get this really well. We do see a little bit of population booms like we do here in Thunder Bay. Like we've noticed over the course of the last decade, a large amount of Asian, or I guess we would say Southeast Asia, that Indians, the Middle East people that coming into here. Like you notice that with a lot of stores that get bought up in Canada or in Thunder Bay, and that you see a large amount of population that you never ever never ever saw before, like in our Walmarts, the gas stations, the convenience stores, the Uber rides or the cab rides, and you just wonder, like, where did all these people come from that were never really here?
Well, you know what I was going to say? Inner Peace Feelings on YouTube. It's usually Shady D. Maxine Bird was arrested in Manitoba. I saw that today. Wasn't he the premier of Quebec before that, or one of the opposition parties from Quebec? He was back a few years ago. He was a leader of one of those parties. I don't know what he was arrested for. I'm sure she'll tell us in the chat. I saw that quickly and I didn't look at it. Now that's huge. That would be like one of your governors, I guess, getting arrested in a neighboring state. So that's pretty interesting.
I bet you London is overpopulated. When I talk to, I got a couple of friends. Actually, I got a lot of friends in London these days. It's weird for me. But about 20 years ago, I met this guy at Tradies in one of our support chat groups. And this was a young black man, we'll say mixed because he wasn't really black. And he was having a hard time coming up in London. He was 17, 18, 19. I think he was 17 when I met him. And he grew up with the group. He spent about 10 years with us. And this dude went through some shit in London. And he used to talk about, I can walk the streets at certain times of night. It's nice. It's quiet. It's peaceful. So just recently he was telling us that he said, man, there's just no room anywhere. He said, I feel like I'm living in Hong Kong. He said, it's crazy how many
talking
people.
About London, Ontario or London, England?
No, he's in London. He's in London, England. He's in.
Okay, yeah, she's talking about Ontario, but okay.
Yeah, Ontario's not a real place. They know people there. It's like 5 people or something. No, I'm just kidding. He writes to me. Yes, just kidding. Especially if Amelia Michelle's listening, I'll be in trouble for sure.
Yeah.
I'll get a pizza sent to me. That's how I know when I'm in trouble.
Well, actually, the UK.
Hey, look who's at the bottom. We'll have to bring in a minute. I see some people at the bottom down there. Hey, look at that. Oh, look, it's the munch. I'm sorry, people. Y'all can't see what I can see. And Laura Lee and Del can see. A friend of ours, Lily, and her babies, and we're going to bring in a few minutes when we get through with this. But
I'm surprised. Well, actually, London actually is overpopulated. You're absolutely right. The UK, for the amount of people they have there, holy cow, for the size of it.
It's crazy. I mean, when I look around, I was in DC not too long ago, and I'm thinking, Jesus, look at the people in this place, which is, by the way, where our friend down there lives. And I'm like, God. So I land, I forgot which airport it was. It wasn't Heathrow, it was the other one. So I land to drive in. I rent my car, drive in. I get to the Mandarin Hotel. I've stayed there twice now, once with Ancient Aliens and once with Discovery. And there's just people everywhere. I'm like, look, people, get out of my way. I'm from Louisiana. I drive like a maniac. I like to do at least 80, 90 everywhere I go. Get out the damn way before I have to whoop out the gank on your ass. And but it is a little crazy now. When you get there, the airports are busy. But I have not really been to any city airport that isn't really busy. It doesn't matter. If it's an international airport, it's busy. Probably right now, I thought LA was the busiest I'd ever been to. Then I was in New York, it was pretty busy. DC was busy. Chicago's crazy. You know what? Atlanta whoops all of them. Atlanta is like a nightmare. And you're driving in your car and planes are landing on top of your head while you're driving underneath them and shit. It's crazy, man. You're doing 90 here because the plane. You're like, oh,
I know when I was at Denver Airport, that was pretty busy.
Denver's crazy, though.
Toronto Airport can get pretty busy, too. Not probably like New York or Los Angeles, but it can get pretty busy.
Atlanta, Georgia. That's that airport. Isn't that's the major shipping hub, right? That's where
it is. It. You know what's so funny about Atlanta is I remember when they offered it to New Orleans. New Orleans, we don't want that. Get out of here. It's a Delta hub. We don't. What a bunch of morons. But anyway, it was over money is what it was really over. But so they brought in Delta, and Delta helped build a hub, and Delta's big there, and Delta's still a big company. Well, then, American Airlines came in, Southwestern came in, then they made it international. And then Bezos and Ups and FedEx started it. They decided that, it's a great place, great airport. It's central to the whole entire East Coast, and it's a straight out shot out west to the middle of the country. So a great airport for them. So they started doing it. And of course, Amazon said, well, if UPS thinks it's good and FedEx thinks it's good. So, half the shit in the country goes through there now. And God knows what else. And so it's busy, and has the worst security I've ever seen. I can't believe this. So I'm getting ready to fly out. I was up seeing my sister. I had my 380 on me, actually. Now this is a nickel-plated 380, a shiny little, pretty little thing. I shouldn't even be carrying it in public because you can see it for blocks. And I walked in, forgot I had it on the side, walked into the airport, walked into the thing, did the express checking because I did it from one thing, and I'm cleared. Didn't even look at my gun. I could have walked on them plane with it. Yeah. If I'd have been murdered, it'd all been dead. And then I realized it, because I didn't have to go through the metal detector. I realized it when I went around the thing. I said, oh, shit, I got to go back to my car. He said, George, you can run back in. He said, why? I said, oh, I forgot something. I got something on me. I can't bring in a plane with me. And he just kind of looked at me, and I ran back. And, I had a box. I just handed it to the lady and put an orange tag on it so they knew it wasn't loaded. Because I carry my guns when I travel, at least one of them. Mm-hmm. And because when I didn't know you could in the beginning, I said when I was in the service, I used to always bring one. They didn't care. And then I was getting ready to fly out one night. I just decided to call the, I think it was Eastern. I said, can I bring my gun with you? He said, you can't bring it on a plane, but you can fly it out with you. And at that time, they used to let you bring ammo. Now they won't let you bring ammo. You got to buy it wherever you go, which bites because different states has little crybaby regulations about it. Mm-hmm. See, currently I got about 700 rounds in the bedroom for my 9 and about 500 for my 380. So. But you try throwing it in a bag and buying that out in California, they'll think you're an axe murderer or some shit. He's going to stalk us. He's going to shoot the governor or something. No, I don't even care about y'all. But it is interesting how it works.
Like, I think we should have gun laws here that we can have guns. I do. I really, really do.
Yeah, if you ask me all the time, people, because the station goes all over, and I've been doing this for a long time, and people from around the world will ask me, my friends in Britain, okay, people misunderstand the gun thing in Canada and Australia and the UK. They don't understand.
Not all of us.
Canada. But they understand that for the most part, you can own a rifle or a shotgun. It takes a little effort, but you can still own one. Handguns are really what everybody's bitching about around the world. Oh, what do you need a handgun? You need a handgun because all handguns only good for one thing. To protect yourself with. That's what the damn thing is built for.
That's why I think we should have them.
Yeah, you should. Everybody should have the right to defend themselves.
Well, you should. And the thing is, if you get shot or there's a gun, if somebody wants to get a gun, they're going to get a gun. Never mind that the false flag that happened in Nova Scotia. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff just starting to come out about that. We had called it right away what happened. So now they're going to get all of our guns. And the thing is, right, especially with what we're going through, and you go back through history, the first thing you do is disarm the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take all the you can't
disarm the people, destroy the libraries, change the history, and start re-educating the children. And then eventually you just take over without ever having to fire a shot. And that's the whole point. Because you can't fight back without guns. It's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons we didn't, everybody kept saying, oh, COVID, this, COVID. I said, no, they're not. Nobody in this government, including the military, thinks they can just walk in and take this country over. There's 380 million guns actually 420 million guns now in this country. There's only 300 million citizens. So, and some of these guns are serious, and you don't know what people got stashed, and we already know them hillbillies know how to make bombs and blow up buildings. So, I mean, you just don't want to go there. Plus, they know the territory inside and out. It's just a war nobody can win. So, as long as they can be armed like that, and the only way you're going to ever get the guns out of Americans' hands is to go physically remove them, and that's going to be a revolution. So, too many people will die in something like that, and people will just get tired of it. It's a mess, but and then you hear the liberals talk about guns all the time, but yet for 29 years in a row, gun violence is down, not up. People forget in the 50s, 60s, and 70s how bad gun violence was in this country, and it's been on a steady downcline. The only reason people think it's an upcline is because we hear about these mass shootings, but there's not really that many other shootings.
Yeah, but if somebody wants to do that, Joe, they're going to get a gun. Like even here in Canada, like Del used to live in Toronto. You said the jungle, like you didn't go through there at night. They had guns. They got all kinds of stuff. If you want guns, you're going to get guns. And if you wanted something negative, but most people that I've seen through the years, they're responsible with their firearms. They respect them. They're there to protect their family. Even in our city here, like in Ontario, the whole province, if somebody breaks into your house and you injure them, stopping them from injuring you, they can sue you and you can be charged with assault. Same thing is if they trip on something on the way out, breaking into your house, they can sue you for injuring themselves on
Yep.
your property. They never should have been there. So what we've been told, I won't say who, but let's just say people in authority, somebody was breaking into your house and you had to defend yourself. What you have to do is bring them out to the sidewalk and then call the ambulance and say they tripped and fell.
Yeah, see, and it's just the opposite here. So a cop will tell you, if you shoot somebody, make sure they fall inside your house because you're good. By the way, somebody just sent me this to update our guns. We have 434 million guns in the United States. 20 million of them are ARs. About 5 million of them are M16s and M14s that have been converted to semi-automatic, which means they can be reconverted to full automatic. There are 500 million magazines in the country, which carry ammo in. I can just imagine. Yeah, you see, come on, military. What military? There's no way, man. These guys will be laying wait in the swamp and the mountains. It's just not going to work out. It'll be like Red Dawn. It's just not a good thing.
Well, like it is that you're always going to have bad people who are going to do bad things, and that's something that's always going to be there. So, say this is the part that I and a lot of other people are talking about this too. So, you want to remove the guns and stuff like that. That's something that that people have. That's something that's one shot at a time there. If you get these crazy people that are out there and start building dirty weapons and airborne pollutants that can go and kill mass amounts of people at a time, I think you'd rather have somebody get shot than 100 million people get smoked out by some radical group there putting off chemical weapons off in your country.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to get into that, man. God, because that's something we'll be talking about in a little while. About since you brought up chemical weapons, Fauci's been, how can you say it, squirming his little wormies around. He's, I noticed the other day he got kind of defensive, and then he got kind of nervous. He might think he's in a little trouble.
Chimeras. He's been doing all kinds of stuff.
He needs to go to prison for sending. We might as well talk about this now. Who would have ever thought it was a good idea to send China money to work on virus? I mean, who could possibly think that was a good idea?
Fauci.
My cat would know that was better. That was stupid. Fiona, was that a good idea? Even Fiona knows that was stupid. And she's a damn chihuahua.
You know what, though? There's been so many doctors coming out, speaking out against him over the years. I just seen an article on this, that what he has done is he has undermined, he has defamed, he's done so many things to so many doctors who have not gone against gone with his agenda. And it's right down to Judy Mikovits. There's a whole list of them that have been telling people what he's about, and nobody would listen to them because of what happened to them. And like I said, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Dr. Judy Mikovits is the be all to the end all. But the thing is, she was arrested and she still doesn't have any charges against her. Like how
the hell does that work?
Incredible what happened. And she knew Fauci. She said he killed so many people with the AIDS epidemic with what he did. And that's what she blew the whistle on. It's crazy when you hear that story. And he's been getting away with it for years. So I hope he gets his butt thrown in jail.
Yeah, well, I hope he does too. I mean, really, at least I've even seen a couple of Democrats turn on his ass now. So that's helping. Actually, Chris, we're going to go backwards for a second because, and thank you, Elizabeth, for sending me the firearms and motor vehicles death comparisons. How did you know I was thinking about that? What, do we got psychics in the audience tonight or something? No, it is important because people always hate on guns. Cars far outkill more people than guns do every year.
They just
every year
up here and everything else. I think we should all be allowed to protect ourselves. I do. I really do. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's terrible that we don't have better gun laws here, that we can protect ourselves with them at least.
It's like, well, Linda knows how to use a shotgun and a rifle. So, and I would feel sorry for the poor son of a bitch that came around my house because she would shoot him. And I told her one night, we broke down inside an interstate in one of the worst neighborhoods in New Orleans. I walked out, I went, handed my pistol. I said, anybody who stops and walks up to this car for any reason, that's a cop, you shoot him.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I said, no, don't, just shoot him. I said, because they're coming to do nothing but harm, baby. They're not coming to help us. They're coming to take something. I said, just shoot him. And she was standing on the side of the highway with that pistol, and you know what? No one stopped. It's when you're in some places you don't need to be. Hold on. I'll bring it up right now. So, and let's go back. So in 1990, there were 24,000 gun deaths and there were 45,000 automobile deaths. That was in 1999. So that's almost double. Now it's getting closer now because in around 2008 is when we really cracked down on automobiles in the United States. They're seriously safe now. If you got a 2010, 2011 car, you got to really F up bad to get killed in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there really are side airbags, front airbags, bottom airbags, high speed collision breaker parts. I mean, it's a whole different kind of automobile now. And, the speeds are more manageable these days. But still, even with that, there was still 38,000 car deaths in 2014 and 30,000 gun deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's still way higher. But what kills me about all of that is none of that even is close. People talk about all the time what number one kills. No, guns and cars ain't even close to number one kills. Its heart disease was 700,000 deaths this year. That's how many times more than both the cars and guns combined. Followed by cancer, which was 583,000 deaths. Followed by lower pulmonary. I mean, and then the next thing after that was just accidental things like falling off of shit, things hitting you in the head, things like that. It was like 180,000. So really, we're bitching about the wrong things, aren't we here? Oh, yeah, people kill people with guns. Yeah, well, you know what? You need to take that damn hamburger out of that old man's mouth and he might live long and the stats might come down. Dell, whatever that shit you eat, that shit up, man.
From the beginning, because once you start looking into that stuff, you go, holy cow. Because think about it, we didn't hear about all this stuff, 100 years ago. There's a reason why, not just the diet too. There's lots of other, like they found out that dental bacteria actually causes plaques and heart attacks and things like that. Believe it or not.
Well, this is the part that comes into the whole mystery of conspiracy about this, because they have this when Biden came in the office. He's talking about ghost guns and all these guns that are killing all these people. And if they just look at the facts, their gun death is way at the bottom level of the scale, like you just showed there. But that's the whole thing, is you have to wonder, what is the point that they're going and pressuring on this? Okay, is this the whole part of this restructuring of a country, restructuring of government, restructuring of the hierarchy system of the rich versus the poor, right? I don't know, this whole Agenda 2030 stuff that comes into effect. You got immigration that's out of control coming across the border, but you're not protecting your borders. And you have people that you don't even know who they are. What are those people supposed to do with their homes and the property they own down there when they have God knows what that's just walking across right into their backyard? Yeah, a lot of different things. And even with that other point that we said there before, what is this Vice President Kamala Harris doing down at the border and down in South America? Like she is basically, it's been actually even said there that Kamala Harris is actually worse than Hillary Clinton.
Oh, Kamala, whatever her damn name is. She's so everybody she met just didn't like her. But before we even get into that, let's backstep to the interview on NBC where they said, Kamala, why haven't you been to the border? Now, remember, this is NBC. This is a heavy, hardcore liberal news station. And the guy who was asking us is a serious liberal. So he just looked at it and said, well, why haven't you gone to the border yet? And he wasn't trying to be mean because, he's a liberal. And she just shrugs it off like, well, I haven't been to Paris yet either. Yeah, and he just looked at her like, bitch, there's no disaster in Paris, but there is one at the border. So that whole thing tainted her visit from the get-go. So both presidents she met, the one in Guatemala and the Mexican president, basically both said she was an idiot. The Mexican paper actually carried the story as our president thinks she's an idiot. The quote was, she has no political abilities whatsoever. She's not a politician. And she has no political ability. She does not know how to handle this. Doesn't know how to talk about this.
Joe, I thought he hit the nail on the head. Is she went right from Willie Brown, who was 60 and he's still married to this day. She was 29. He got her into politics and she flirted her way and probably a heck of a lot more. And this was his interview saying this. And so I guess she thought she was going to get away with the little giggles and the smart ass comments.
Well, you see, that's the thing there. She wasn't in politics. She was in law enforcement.
I know.
And she was, she was what it was, not a district attorney.
Yeah, but
attorney general. She was an attorney general, right? I don't know what she was, I think.
Still married, and he's the mayor of your city where you are, and all of a sudden you start climbing the political ladder. That's just.
Well, she's in trouble. They've already said this thing with the borders probably cost her the 24 election. Good. She's not going to get to be a candidate. And right now it's looking bad because they've been polling again. And most people are saying, we should have left Trump in because everything's just getting worse. And Biden's over there in Europe taking credit for all kind of shit. But Kamala gets down there. She was met by people from Guatemala with Trump flags saying, "Why did you F up something? He had this fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Go home. You didn't even win the election." Gets to Mexico City, the same damn thing.
I'm glad.
So you've got Trump supporters in these two countries. I mean, that tells you something right there. That means Mexico and Guatemala thought he did the right thing by saying, "No, y'all hold them, let them apply. We'll give you money to keep them around." So they were getting money. They were getting a little extra population because some of the people were going to stay. They had been there for a while, maybe made some friends, got a job. Mm-hmm. So because whatever countries they came from, they were stopping off at Guatemala and Mexico to be held. It was working. We were getting better people. It was taking longer to get them in. Everybody was coming in the way they were supposed to. They were coming in legally. Illegals were way, way, way down. And, and then poor Chuck Todd had to admit to this. So there's been more illegals in the last 3 months than the last year and a half under Trump. Yeah. So it's I think they said actually 2 years. So, I mean, come on, guys.
Now we're getting 200,000 of them.
That's from this batch. They're talking Canada's going to get over 1 million immigrants if this keeps up. I'm like, Canada can't afford 1 million immigrants. Shit, we can hardly afford 1 million immigrants. I mean, get the hell out of here. And like I said, that's not considering once your borders are back open, who might be coming in from Europe or the Scandinavian countries or anywhere else.
Come in droves, and then they're taking all the jobs.
Of course they are.
But they're taking all the jobs because
they'll work for half of what you will.
Yeah,
that's why.
We pay most of their wages. Most of them, if you go to Walmart here or anywhere, if you see somebody Caucasian, it's amazing. And I don't have a problem with it, but we've got our own problems with people like our First Nations population. We've got a lot of poor people here that could be using that assistance instead of you just bringing more and more and more people in. That's why I get angry, and then nobody can get a job because I think like Walmart pays them $6 an hour, and the taxpayers pay them the rest to make up minimum wage.
Yeah, and you see, and that's what's funny because down here, Walmart going to pay you $15 an hour to start. It's a messed up system. And look, I'm all for immigrants. See, I don't. Somebody asked me the other day. I was doing an election. Somebody said, "Well, what are you anti-immigrant?" I said, "No, I said, my family are immigrants. They came over on a boat." I said, almost everybody in this country except for Native Americans are immigrants. I said, nobody's really anti-immigrant. It's just everybody had to come over legally, and that's how we want it done. We would like to, America could easily support 1 billion people. We're a much healthier nation than China. We got way more fertile land than they do, so we can easily support it. And then if we get too bad, we can always say, "Hey, Canada, we need some extra food," or Mexico. Anyway, it's sustainable for us. So we really want to see it, but the point is, most Americans don't want. Why do we always have to take the downtrodden? Which I'm all for helping people out, but why can't we have programs that increase, college degree people coming into our country?
Well, that was the same thing with Australia. I remember a friend of mine was trying to get to move to Australia, and they couldn't get immigrant status there, period, because they weren't a desirable person in the way of skills, right? If you had a skill or something like that, it was a much easier process. Or if you married somebody who is a native Australian, and that even goes the same thing with even Canada to working in the States, is that you have to apply for a work visa, and the company has to put a petition in for that. You have the skills that you can't get locally for whatever it is, and that's what allows you to go through your stuff here. But now you just have people that have no skills coming from with no post-secondary education. Not that you have to have it, but no desirable skills that you have.
But you need to have some kind of education. If you're going to move to a new country, which I'm all for, you either need to be planning on getting some type of education when you get there, or at least having some kind of skills when you come here. What are you going to do? Watch TV all day and let Americans pay for you? That's just not going to work forever, because now there's too many of them. It's one thing when you had a handful of immigrants in a nation, but when you've already got a particular group of population here that's already high unemployment, and then here you're going to add another one on top of it, Americans are going to get tired of that. They're not going to keep paying that, because that just means our taxes keep going up. And we don't want to be like the UK where you pay 50% tax. I currently pay about 28%. Now I'm bitching about that. So I don't want to be paying 50%. Even if they give me free medical, I still don't want to be paying 50%. It's just too much, man. Yeah, that's like working for the man, there, buddy. Forget that. I get how, and owning my own business, there are outlets for me to get things lower, and then I get incentives just like any other business. If I want to hire minorities, they'll pay half their salary,
Yeah.
and tax breaks, but they'll pay half their salary. No, that's not fair. So now you're telling me don't hire the skilled people, hire the people that don't have the job that are a different color. I'm like, what? No, people. I need skilled labor. I don't need to be training people. I need already trained people.
Right.
We got a full fledged business. We do a lot of work, and I don't want to be risking people's homes or risking people because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And what is that, Jesse? Oh no, we don't care. We have right now currently in the company and in the station we represent pretty much every color on the planet and every sex on the planet. When I mean that seriously because we have. I'm not even going to get into that tonight, but we have multiple types of sex types on the. That's all I can say. We'll just leave it at that. But I'll get in depth in.
On here at all.
It's yeah. Well, even my other job, it's just it doesn't matter because Louisiana is a different place. The South is different. If the country would get past its hate of the Civil War, they would have realized the South has passed the North up a long time ago. We don't fight like they do. We don't bicker like they do. Our crime rates are nowhere near what theirs are. If you look at New York or Chicago or Baltimore, any of the major blue cities, they are nightmares. You look at New Orleans, which is kind of a nightmare itself. But if you look at Houston, Dallas, Miami, Jackson, Atlanta, the crime rates aren't that bad. You don't see bad crime rates unless it's a semi-blue city down here. And that would be New Orleans and Atlanta. All the rest of them have very low crime rates. The types of crimes are just not those kind of violent crimes. It's usually robbery or drug abuse or something. It's something along those lines. And racism just doesn't exist in the way that the government would want you to think it does. Because, like, they forget. Yeah, everybody was freed. For 100 years, everybody was still hanging each other, killing each other, burning each other. And then the populations became more even. So if you're in Louisiana, it is 42% black, 41% white, and 9% or 6% of whatever else, 7% of what else there is. Atlanta, Georgia is almost the same. Miami, Florida is a little whiter. Texas is a little whiter, but not that much. So the South has kind of melted together, and we just get along and do our lives and have our daily lives and move on. And we kind of laugh at the rest of the nation when we hear things about Chicago or LA going, how can y'all be racist? Y'all supposed to be liberal cities who do things right, and yet y'all are seriously racist. And that's why the Democrats, by the way, lost 11 seats. They lost 7 seats because of people leaving their states, and the Republicans gained 4 seats, people coming to their states. So that's a total of 11 seats. The election hasn't even happened, and they've already lost control. So that's 2 Senate seats. No, that's 11 House seats and 2 Senate seats. That gives them the control of both houses at current numbers. And if they even budge a little bit and take over more, you'll have a comfortable lead coming into the 2022 election. Mm-hmm. So it's sad. Wait, well, we're going to talk about Wuhan. Whoever sent me that. No, we're not through talking about Wuhan yet. Remember, people, we were the first ones to put any photos of Wuhan or Beijing, for that matter. There was no NBC, CBS, any of that. We had them, we got them, we put them on YouTube, we put them on all of our places. They went on all of our Facebook pages. Matter of fact, you could probably still find them on my Facebook page because Facebook never took them down. So there's somewhere out there way, way back. I forgot how many files there were. Shit, we did that on one of the panel shows. God, it must have been 500, 600, 700 pictures and at least 100, 150 videos. Yeah, they were from all over. But the ones that freaked me out was the Wuhan one. And to be honest, it's a good video. It looks clean. But when you see the body bags moving, you got to take a wonder if it's real or not. I'm not saying it's real. I'm not saying it's not real because I don't know. I know the individual who took the video, and he swears it's real. And everything else he took is legit. But again, I wasn't in Wuhan to see this video taken. There was other videos we've seen where we know later on were verified where they were locking down the windows with steel bars and locks and bringing food by people. We know all of that was true now. Now we have Laura Lee's best buddy in the world, Fauci, saying that it might have come from the Wuhan lab. Laura Lee got a crust on Fauci.
But he also said too, as though did you hear him on the news the other time? He says, "I don't know why people are picking on on me. Fauci, it says if you don't believe in Fauci, you don't believe in science, right? So this is the new angle he's going on. He's talking about himself in the third person, and that
Which means you're insane, but
and
still.
he is the face of science. And this is the thing that's sort of crazy. So all the rest of the doctors and scientists there that disagree with him are anti-Fauci and anti-science, right? This is another point that came up on one of the news channels there too. Is that the whole thing about having peer-reviewed discussions and peer-reviewed paper is that stuff like this happens. The questions you ask your colleagues about this, and there's a lot of people that disagree with what he's doing. And I think this whole DARPA thing is going to come out with connection with the NIH and Dr. Fauci as well.
Yeah, they might, because who was it yesterday? One of the big senators was talking about there needs to be a serious investigation into all of this. He said, "Look, he actually said we don't have control right now." He said, "Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get it back in 2022." And he said there are going to be some serious investigations. He said because he said Trump was right. Trump said in the beginning Fauci was a fraud. We shouldn't be listening to him. That's why he brought in that woman. Because Fauci kept going, "Oh, no masks. We don't need masks. Ain't going to do anything. Why would you get masks? They're not going to stop anything." And then all of a sudden, "Oh, it'll keep you from spreading it." That didn't make any sense because when you sneeze wetness, it goes through the mask. But we're going to leave that alone. And then all of a sudden he switches, right?
When you take the mask off to eat, but then you got to put it on when you're not eating. Like all these stupid rules.
I know. So some things were just too stupid to be believed. And then he kept going back and forth. I mean, if you were just an everyday average person, just someone who is just living life, you go to school, or you're bringing your kids to school, you're going to work, you're not really into any of this stuff that we talk about in this network, either from conspiracies to paranormal to UFOs, even to the types of news we talk about. You're just, and then all of a sudden you start hearing this shit. And this is the guy that the CDC says you got to listen to. So the CDC is a serious organization, right? At least that's what America.
He admitted he lied because he
Of course he did, because he's an idiot.
PPE for health care workers, so he lied. That's why he was flip-flopping. Like, I don't understand. This stuff is so clear to see, and people are just like blinded. I don't know by what. They're not blinded by science, because it's not science.
Yeah. Well, it's like when they go back and forth on the vaccination number. So the other day I'm listening to them going back and forth, and then all of a sudden Biden's woman comes up and says 80% of America has been vaccinated. And I just had to stop. And I'm like, what? Don't get me wrong, I've been vaccinated, so I'm not saying it couldn't be possible. I think she is lying, by the way. I think it's more like 60% or 65%. Because I got to only judge by all the people I know. And I got to tell y'all, the majority of people I know have not gotten the shot yet. And I'm not talking about just here. I'm talking about all over the planet, not just. And, a friend of mine said, well, maybe just the kind of people. I said, no, because I said, I know a lot of people's got the shot. I said, but I know a lot more that hasn't. Mm-hmm. And I said, and then, and I said the other day, they were trying to, I don't know, Sam was trying to tell me something about the Supreme Court wants to say that the hospitals can tell their nurses and doctors they have to get shots, but they can't do that anyway because it's not approved. It hasn't gone through the process. This is, an emergency process. This isn't actually a real approval from the FDA. So I don't know what's going to go with that. And if you really, and even the Supreme Court would have to know this, if you threaten nurses and doctors and you tell half of them that don't want to get a shot, you got to go get a shot, they're going to go on strike. And then what? Because you think COVID was bad, you ain't seen shit. The country couldn't do that. I mean, if half the nurses, even if the doctor stayed and just half the nurses went on strike, it'd be over with, man. There'd be people dying all over the place. Because that's who's doing the majority of the care. The doctors come and go, I think on an average day when I was in the hospital, I'd see my doctor maybe 15, 20 minutes twice a day. Mm-hmm. If that, sometimes only once. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So now my nurses, I'd see them all day, several times a day. Mm-hmm. They come by, check on you. How you doing? I'm good, fine. You need anything? No, I'm good. You want some pain meds? Sure, I'll take some pre-meds. Turn that shit up. Until she told me I could get out fast if I didn't take any. I was like, what? I said, you just told me that 4 days ago, girl.
Exactly.
So give me some Tylenol 4. I'll be all right. And, because you know how it is. Nobody wants to be in a freaking hospital. It just sucks.
Hospital is a place for sick people.
What do you mean, Gloria? Wait, hold on. Wait, I can't see y'all. Wait, hold on. There we go. Look at that. Why won't it let me share this? What the hell? I'm trying to share this chat group to Come on. Anyway, Actually, I think I've always leaned towards it came from the Wuhan lab. I've never really came off of that. I've never felt something about the bat theory just always sounded batty to me. It just didn't hold up.
I think it came from China. What do you think, Bill?
I think this was a joint effort between military doctors and whatever DARPA and whatever stuff that was happening in the States and shared within the Wuhan lab and other level 3 and 4 containment stuff throughout the world. They're all working on the same sort of projects, sharing all the same sort of information. Whether it leaked over there at that time or probably, I don't know. But I think there's another point that came out of this too, is that during while this COVID stuff was happening, influenza and pneumonia was also happening at the same time. And those numbers sort of just drifted off into nothingness. And there's been an interesting site there, Johnny Hoover, that's been doing that. He does charts these graphs, and it shows that at the same time, these two numbers are going, where one was actually going more than COVID, and COVID was going more than that. So maybe there was two epidemics happening at the same time, and this really hasn't been addressed by Dr. Fauci or the NIH, the CDC, or the WHO. So you have to wonder, is there even more information that could be sort of being not being told to the rest of the public here? Because that would make a big change in whether or not you're getting a shot if you're actually sick with something else.
Yeah, well, they're not going to say that. They're just going to tell you it's COVID.
Right,
They're
I know,
they're
but
just going to blame. They're just going to blame. They're blaming everything on COVID. They're not, I mean, come on, heart deaths are down what 200,000 this year. That's bullshit. And people in America just didn't get healthy like that overnight. That's especially when they've been sitting on their ass for a year. It should have been up, not down.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but even though the number people got confused about this, everybody kept saying no, it was less deaths. There weren't actually less. There was actually more deaths this year. So we'll give COVID legit for some of those, but there wasn't that much higher. I mean, it was like 200,000 higher than the previous year, which might have been a natural progression anyway. But regardless, it wasn't like 10 million or 2 million or 1 million. It was just 200,000. So COVID didn't. Now they're trying to give COVID how many 500,000 in our country or 600,000? I have to look it up and see. But I thought it was like 600,000 we were giving it credit for. That's how many people died from heart attacks.
From the CDC that they very quietly amended their number that actually died of COVID worldwide from 5% to 4%. They've really, when they've gone through everything, because they've been, going through a lot of videos about the semantics of somebody dying from COVID or dying with COVID. They're two different things, right? And it's their comorbidities that ended up killing a lot of these people. It wasn't COVID. So you can find that on the CDC website, because that came out a couple of weeks ago, I think. They just re-amended the number.
Well, this is the thing too, is that back in January of 2020, is all the mainstream media, all the doctors were saying that influenza that year was going to be worse than any other year, and that's like the numbers. That stuff was the big, huge thing, and then all of a sudden, March, COVID took over, and influenza and pneumonia disappeared.
Yeah, they're saying that's because everybody was washing their hands and wearing masks. And washing your hands does help. Using the alcohol in your hands does help, but the mask isn't helping. They can bite me on that. I ain't never going to believe that one. If I wouldn't be OSHA certified, you might have been able to sell it to me. But knowing how things are measured by microns and what can get through a mask, I mean, I know because of my respirators. Even my respirator would have a hard time with COVID. It would stop it, but it's on the borderlines. So there was no way, no N95 or no paper mask of any kind or any cloth was going to stop this. Mm-hmm. The other day, the guy's like, no, it's because it picks up the moisture in the air. I said, well, what happens if you live in Arizona? There ain't no moisture in the air. He's like, well, I said, that's some bullshit, dude. I said, don't. I said, just keep that crap to yourself. I said, look, I have no problem wearing a mask. I said, if it makes people comfortable, I'm fine with it. I said, just don't try to sell me on this mask that I can get my fingers on both sides and on both tops that's doing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come on. And don't tell me standing in some place 6 feet apart. So this has always bothered me. You stand there for 15 minutes. A guy in front of you has been standing there breathing hot breath out of himself. It's got a big cloud of hot air above him now because he's been breathing for however long. And then you walk up there and that hot air is now turning cool and it's going to settle down on your head. And I don't care if you wear a mask or not. It's a lot of it. I just sometimes. But I'm all for it because most people do get it by getting it on their hands and sticking their finger up their nose or in their ear or wiping their eye or shit. So I can see where the alcohol in the hands help. But the mask I'm sorry, guys. Current deaths in the United States, well, we might as well say 600,000. It's 598,744. So we might as well just say 600,000. Brazil's on our tail with 482,000. So currently, as many people died in COVID this year as people who died from heart disease. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having issues with that. I'm thinking about 300,000 of them, maybe 400,000 of them were going to die anyway. I got to be honest about it. That's what I would think. Maybe 400,000 of them would die. They don't even show Canada, man. See, I don't even know why y'all got so much shit up there. You're not even on the list.
Because it's just cases, and we told you what they've done with the PCR test is, and the maker of it, and that's quite interesting too, conspiracy theory, because he suddenly died of a heart attack, speaking out against what using it was Fauci and everybody else deciding on using the PCR test. It's not a diagnostic test, and they do so many rotations. And the number that we're set at, by the time they're finished spinning this out, the sample, all you're left with is a bunch of junk. Like if you could, you would. I think they were saying with the way we have our levels set for a positive COVID test, that we're going to get a 96 to 97% false positive. So these are just cases. Like nobody's sick. Yeah, I don't know anybody sick. You know anybody sick, Tal?
They said y'all only had. Wait, let me get this straight. So they locked down y'all's whole country. 25,000 people died from COVID.
Yeah, and most of them are old.
Yeah, I bet you they are.
My friend Karen that I was on a show with recently, she looked into the numbers, and apparently the average age for somebody to live into old age is 82, and most of the people that died of COVID were between 82 and 84 years old. So they really, they were around the age they would have statistically died anyways. Yeah, this is what happened. Dan Dix, who's on YouTube, did a video with this, and it was a news report from our main source media, and they had the numbers up there, and he was quoting it in this video, and as he was editing, he went back to the video because he wanted to check something, and they removed the numbers because they realized that people would figure out exactly what you just said, how many people actually died. Mm-hmm.
I don't have no idea. They must have just been having fun locking y'all down. They must have been taking bets over there and wherever y'all's parliament and say, hey, how long do you think we can keep them down before they lose their minds?
Well, I said,
that's the thing that what he did, right? So during this part that this epidemic happened, he got this executive power almost in a way to start writing laws and rules and regulations that he didn't have to go through Parliament, through any parliamentary process, right? And our Mr. Pink Pants is a huge fan of the Chinese president. He wants to emulate him. He's totally, he comes from Cuba, so he got guns taken away in a sort of a deal, and he started locking down everything and putting all these forced regulations in. I think it was in Quebec they put in a time scale where you couldn't go out during certain times. And I made a joke about this, like COVID, I guess, knows what time it can come out around, right? So they had curfews put into place, shutting down more and more business, right? So I think they got a little bit power hungry. And I think there was also this whole thing is because our parliament over here in Canada, everybody's afraid, well, if they didn't lock it down totally, they might not get elected back in next time, right? Because all these people are career politicians. They don't care about anything. All they care about is putting money in their own pockets. So if they don't get reelected next time, they have to go out and find a job or hope for something. That's basically the whole thing. So now that they had the power, they're in power, shut things down, and they just went power hungry. This is the stupidest thing that I ever heard. You have a store, and you go in and you block off sections of the store that you can't buy items in, right? Like stuff like seeds to go plant a garden in your backyard, a barbecue tank to cook out in your backyard,
baby items,
baby clothes, just stupid things. You're already in the store already to get stuff, but you can't buy these items because they're non-essential. Like
You
this
could
is
even reach over the rope and grab it, but if you brought it up to the till, there were Nazi acting like cashiers. You can't buy that. You can't buy that. Put that back right
Yeah.
now. Put it back now. Look at fine.
fishing hooks and fishing line, fishing rods. You couldn't buy this stuff. It's all blocked
See,
out.
that kind of stuff don't even make sense. Why would you want people not to go fishing? I mean, you got them locked down. Let them go do something to stay out of
All
trouble.
our outdoor stuff. Like I said, Joe, today the news was that I talked to a girl that was doing a news report. I wasn't on the news with her. She asked me the store I came out of, what it was like. It was worse than Black Friday with people out there. Because all this, what I said to Del, what's going to happen is, okay, because we've been locked down so long, all the merchandise is piling up, right? So now all these stores don't have the revenue to cover to reorder. All the shelves are going to go bare, and I'll bet you we won't have anything in stock now for the next couple months because they haven't ordered, because they didn't have the money or they didn't know when we were going to reopen.
Yeah, and things are hard to get right now. Some companies do a better job. Like, on partner, I've been bitching because we shop at Lowe's and Home Depot, and Lowe's stock is pathetic. Home Depot is just whooping them in every area. People on the floors,
Our
employees, and
Lowe's closed.
disability, and the way and just basically having what you need. And it's just a shame because they're both good companies, but one seems to have the ability to get more items than the other one does. And that may be just because of what you said. They may have waited too long, because right now things that until the rest of the world catches up with America, it's going to be hard because we import a lot of stuff, and we import a lot of stuff from y'all. We'll start seeing some prices drop once y'all open back, and like lumber and stuff will go down in our country probably about 50%, 60%. It'll never go back to where it was because companies are going to take advantage of this, but we will see several things drop, and y'all will see other things that you can't get your hands on that come to us easier to get. And anything in the three countries in the tri-country area, which is Mexico, the trade deals we have will actually do well for us. But there are still things that all three of us import from outside of the Americas that come in from Europe or other places, and there's still a lot of them locked down. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable importing from China anymore. Even Europe, a lot of Europeans are like, we don't want anything from China anymore. If it says China on it, we don't want it. And now if we find out that this did come from the Wuhan thing, there's going to be reparations involved. I don't know what China's going to do. I guess I have to start World War III because
That's what I said. An article I sent you, because people are talking about it, that China doesn't want to pay, so maybe they're going to start a war. I don't know.
But even China's got to realize they can't win the war. I mean, even if you could take America by surprise and take out our entire military, we've got 10,000 nukes. What the hell you think you're going to do? We're just going to launch them. We're just not going to die on our own. We're going to kill everybody. I mean, and China knows this, and Russia knows this. Most of the free world knows this. So it's I hate to say it like that, but that's how it's going to go down. We'll be like, no. Watch this. We got 50 kiloton nukes. Whoop, there went Moscow. There went Hong Kong. There went Beijing. Up, and you better. There went half your country, buddy. Oh shit. Now there's a billion Chinese dead. And then after. And that's just the fun part. After all of that's done, about 30 submarines will pop up and say, anybody survive? Oh, yeah, look. And then they'll go back and do their thing. That's the thing, though. There will be Americans and Chinese and Russians that survive a nuclear war. Mm-hmm. Because we do have massive underground facilities.
Yes.
But what are you going to do? You're going to live underground the rest of life, look like them things from, what is that movie? What's that Time movie where he goes forward in time? And they crack up the moon. What is the name of that thing? Oh, it's anyway, it's a pretty famous movie, but I can't think of it for some reason. But yeah, we want to keep our countries intact. But by saying that, the only world there's going to ever be world peace is through a war. Because China is never going to give up its sovereignty on its own, and neither is Russia. For that matter, neither is America. So what's the great equalizer? How do you bring – it doesn't even matter what the rest of the world thinks. These three countries control the planet, and America controls the majority of it, but still, these three countries control the planet. In the end, they're going to be the ones who decide if we live or die. So the problem is how do you get these three massive, powerful, egotistical, maniac countries to agree with each other? Oh, no, Glenn, America's just as bad as the rest of them are. Yeah, we're a free country. That's true. But no. Don't think we're without evilness ourselves, because we do. We have quite a bit of it. America's responsible for a lot of crap that goes around the planet that's not good stuff. Let's be honest about No, I love my country, and I'd fight and die for my country, but that's not the point. I'm not ignorant. I know America's done shit, and I know America funds things, just to keep shit going, like the Middle East. We like to keep it unstable until we could get what we wanted to take over. That was a good thing for us. It wasn't a bad thing. It let us test out new technologies, kept all of our troops trained. Right now, America's the only country in the world that has 50 years worth of trained troops and knows all of its technology works because it's been a constant battle for 50 years. This is not a country you want to go to war with. They're used to it. They'll be like, really? You want to fight? Sure, man. Let's go. We got lots of weapons. We got shit sitting around. We just need to blow some shit up. Come on. That's the problem when you got a bunch of crazy-ass, egotistical Americans running around. So there's got to be a way to level the playing field so that everybody – screw you. What is Europe going to do? Europe can't even unlock its nukes without the UN. What the hell? And China and Russia are going to veto it. Now, what are you talking about?
Aw.
They're going to be like, veto. What do you mean? Oh, UK's going to, we want to launch a nuke against China. China said, no, veto. It's gotta be, no. So it's just not happening in America. Because, no, we're going to go, that's what's going to happen. Oh, I know what you're talking about, Mark. Yeah, that happened under Reagan, and then it happened under Trump.
What's that?
China did something stupid. Well, I actually think Bush did it too. So under Reagan, China's talking all kind of smack. So one afternoon, because America wanted to show its dominancy, 4 nuclear submarines popped up on 4 poles of China right off its coast.
Wow.
Hatches open, sitting. China didn't even know they were there. So Ping was talking shit to Trump about something, and Trump did the same. Oh, no, it was the South China Sea. Trump did the same thing. He parked 3 nuclear carriers off the coast, 2 on one side, one. He parked one in the strait between Taiwan, and nobody knew they were there. And when they surfaced, they had their tubes open, which means China would have never even had a chance to respond. They would have been gone. China was so it made Ping look so weak and so bad. He still hasn't got over it because they were just like, oh my god, and their navy's bigger than ours now. It's just not as sophisticated or as good. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Russia always had. They always had a bigger navy, but it didn't really mean anything because one of our destroyers like all of theirs. It's like, look, dude, just because you got a bunch of garbage floating around the water, don't mean you're gonna be badass. It just means you're gonna die. That's all that's gonna mean. And then that's the other problem. We drag everybody in with us, so. Because China has a big navy, we'll be on Canada's ass, come put some boats over here. We'll be on Mexico's ass, put some boats over here. We'll be in the UK and Paris. And y'all got to bring some boats in. And then China's outnumbered 3-1. That's the problem for them. And the rest of the world is just not going to tolerate it. So there's got to be a way. I wish Europe could lead, but Europe can't even lead the UN. I mean, the UE. Come on, they got 4 1 countries left, 4 more want to leave. I'm like, no, you can't lead the world. And America could lead the world, but lately all we can do is put morons in the White House. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, it's just like one after another after another. Since baby Bush, it's been nothing but morons in the White House. We've had Bush.
All they want to talk about is racial diversity and transgender rights and whatever else.
They don't even want to talk about the world. You're right, Dale. They don't want to talk about the world. They want to talk about stupid shit that no one, or I shouldn't say no one, but the majority of us don't care about. People ask me all the time, why did Trump get in office? I said, because the Democrats were talking about what bathrooms we were going to use for 2 years.
Yes.
I said, do you really think Americans care? Most of us could not give a shit what bathroom you're using. As long as you're not messing with our kids, we don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, really. And it's just oh, hey, Sean, I didn't even see you in there. It's just ridiculous at this point. And then here we are again. Democrats haven't learned anything. They put Trump in office. They don't realize it. But they put Trump in office, and now they're going to put some Trump or someone like him in office again because they went right back to, oh, well, let's talk about it. And then, so I'm confused about this. So Democrats, Republicans are just asses anyway because most of them are religion. So I can understand why they don't want transgenders competing, boys against girls. I understand that wholeheartedly. I have no problem with that either way. But all of a sudden, the Democrats who were pushing this have decided that they're not going to pass bills to keep men from competing in women's sports. And I say men, guys, because just because they're dressing like a girl, they still have that upper body strength. Unless they've been taking hormones, they got that. Even then, they still got that more upper body strength. It's not fair. Could you see me? Even if the girl was my weight, I'd still kick her ass.
Yeah.
I mean, people, you can't. No, some things. Well, perfect example is a guy. He was in Chicago somewhere. He's a wrestler. He was going to become a girl. I think he's actually become a girl now, but he's still got all that body strength. He bulks up, and He was killing. He was whooping the shit out of all them girls. He never had a chance. I mean, it was like boom. He was setting records. He was taking them down. So, of course he was. And then I don't even understand why that would be an argument. And that's what cracks me up the most about it. Why are we arguing about something like this?
Well,
It's
Sean G has a good point. I want to give a shout out to Zach, man. We haven't seen him in a
Zach?
while. Sean G says the president that forgets he's president instills confidence in the U.S. future. That's right.
Yeah, well, he said it himself. Biden was on TV saying, "You know, sometimes I forget I'm president." I'm like,
oh,
really,
hey, Zach's opening up a new cigar lounge. That's okay that you missed my show, Zach.
Ooh.
I'm hoping you were okay, but Joe said he had seen you around, so I knew you were okay.
Yeah,
That made you work too hard on your birthday.
Yeah, birthdays are a good thing. Mine all go backwards now. So
yeah,
last I checked, I was 38. So
yeah.
I'm hippie people.
So old, and you're only a year older than I am.
I'm like 10 years younger than you. Don't you know what she's talking about, man? She's crazy. How you put out this crazy woman, man? God damn.
Jeez.
You and I are apart in age.
Actually, it's funny, and I'm not going to give away a bunch of people, but there are like 6 or 7 of us on the network that are within a year of each other.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other hosts. We're not going to give out no names.
I don't
people.
hide my age. I don't understand.
They don't either, but I don't feel comfortable saying who they were. You mean who? Who?
I will be 50.
Jenny. You know what? I was always taught it's not polite to discuss a woman's age or her weight for that.
I will be 56 in August. There, I'm 55. I'm telling the truth.
That's your whispering sweet nothings. Yeah, making her talk about it. No, actually, Jenny's the same age I am. Michelle and Lorelei, I think, are the same age. Amelia's a couple of years younger than both of us. Dell's a baby, man. He's like,
I'm a cradle. I know I'm a cage. No, cradle robber and put them in the cage.
Yeah, that's right. Rob the cradle and throw him in a cage. See, she's got it. Take him at birth, lock him down, baby. Treat him right. Oh shit, they're coming for all as well. I'll go to hell.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Samantha? No, it's just a joke. Does he look like he's in a cage to you, really? I know you can see him. So no, it's just a thing we talk about. Canadian women locking him in. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have John Greenwald and Emily on. Emily's a Canadian as well. And she keeps John. Now, John's in a gilded cage, mind you. It's all wood laid out and shit, but it's still a cage. So, yeah. It may be a gilded cage, but it's still a cage. No, it's true.
I'll be 21 this year. Zach says, yeah, right.
Yeah, 21. There we go, man. That works for me. 20. I don't think I'd want to be 21 again. 21 was crazy.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, no.
Yes. Well, when I was 18, so you could drink down here when you were 18. I remember my mom, my 2 aunts showed up at my house.
I could too. The drinking age was 18 when I turned 18. It was legal. Well, I was in bars when I was about 15 up here because they didn't
care down here. If you were 15 and you hold your own, they didn't care. But now they do. Yes, now they do. Now they get bitchy. But Louisiana is a weird state, so we do care now. We want you to be older to drink it all. And children were never allowed in bars unless you knew the owner. But now all bars have to serve food. So if you're going in for food, you can bring your kid into the bar now. Yes, I don't know why. In most of the bars in Louisiana, are not kid friendly. You don't need to bring your kid in. God knows what the hell they.
I think in our province next to us, I know in Quebec, it's like going to a different country. I know that for a fact. In Manitoba, though, I think your kid can drink if you're with your parents.
Well, they can't hear.
Yeah.
They can drink at home or with your parents. That's a parent thing, and they are allowed to do that. So it's always been in Louisiana. I guess they want alcoholics for kids.
Well, you can't do that here in our province. Like you have to be of age, but I think in Manitoba it is next to us. That as long because their alcohol is privatized. Ours is all sold by the government. That's why it's so expensive for booze. We've had that talk here many times for premium alcohol compared to what you guys pay.
Yeah, y'all pay a lot. Well, it's funny is everybody at North pays a lot more for than alcohol than we do. It's kind of weird to me, but when I travel up north, so I'm in New York, cigarettes $11. It's anywhere from $9 to $11 a pack.
Right, it went up to almost $19 a package here.
In Louisiana right now, they're $6.50. In Mississippi, they're $5.50. When I started smoking, they were 29 cents a pack. Gas was 18 cents a gallon. That's a lot. So I'm kind of
Oh,
like, whoa, what the hell's going on around here? No, Cokes were not a nickel. That's my grandparents, you dumbass. Yes.
Cokes were a nickel, I wish.
Yeah, that was my grandparents. Cokes were a quarter when I was a kid. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's how much they
I
were.
don't remember how much they were up here.
But it's a weird thing because down here everything's a lot cheaper. I mean, gasoline, even right now, gas is $2.50 a gallon, but everywhere else in the country it's well over three. In some places it's reaching four. It's the same thing with all food and drinks because it sounds real lucky. We don't have to import that much. We can make our own power. We can make our own fuel, and most of our food is locally grown. All of our any fruits or vegetables you can grow locally. Some of the best beef in the world comes from out of the four-state area. And with all that black Angus they got running all fat on that nice grass full of all that moisture. It's different for us. And it makes it a little more laid back because you don't have to worry about it as much. And we know we're not going to pay through teeth. But if you're in New York or L.A. or Chicago, for what I get there, you're paying double to triple what I am. And it sounds like y'all paying double what they're paying. See, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. Somehow or another, we should be able to level this out. There should not be that much difference between what someone in Mexico makes or pays and someone in Canada pays. And if you go to Mexico, they're paying half of what we're paying.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in Mexico right now and buy a brand new Ford pickup truck fully loaded for $26,000. You can't get one in America for less than $45,000. And God knows how much it costs in Canada.
Yeah, but the same thing, most people in the U.S., and we talk to them, that we got free healthcare. Our healthcare is not free. And I'll tell you, and socialized medicine is a waste of money because what they do, and not all of them, but a lot of doctors, all they gotta do is get your card and swipe it. They don't care. You can just swipe it. You're in and out. Yep, whatever. You have to go back 3 and 4 times for something, see a specialist, wait 4 years, like no family doctor.
That's what got me about Charles. I had 2 friends die in Canada while waiting to get treatment. That's when I realized it's bad. A good friend of my older guy, he had a heart problem, and he had to have a valve changed out. And they kept putting it off. First it was going to be 6 months. It was 9. Then it was 12. Then he died. So it didn't really matter.
You can't get a specialist here. Like, it's a nightmare to see a specialist. And
yeah, I know a lot of people cross the border come down here if they got insurance.
Yeah, that's the big thing, though, is that unless your company has a really good union with a good insurance plan for medical and stuff like that, a lot of stuff you still got to pay out of pocket there as well, too. A lot of stuff isn't covered, and it's a lot of extra expenses that are involved there, especially when it comes to medicines and when you have to get medication and that. Like that the prices and stuff like that are like astronomical.
Oh, I know they're crazy down here too, and it's weird. If you're on Medicaid in the United States, it pays everything, but you got to find a doctor that accepts it, and they can only have so many Medicaid patients on it. But they pay for your prescriptions and most of your stuff, but they don't cover all procedures. Some cancer stuff, you're screwed. If you don't have private insurance, you're screwed. You're gonna die. And they don't even feel bad about it. They're kind of like, well, you got free insurance a whole life. If it kills you, too bad. So they really don't. And then now if you've got in Medicaid and Medicare, once you retire, you get both. That's a little different because then like Humana, somebody will get on board and it'll cover a lot more stuff. And so it's a little bit easier, but you got to pay in most of your life to get on that. And then retirement in this country is ridiculous. If you pay in 40 years, some people can max out. If they max out, it's like $3,000 a month. But most people are going to get between $5,000 and $1,000 a month. That's what they're going to retire on. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I mean,
well, Sean Green said socialized medicine in the U.S. He said, look at the veterans hospitals.
That's a joke.
I was hoping, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because
I'm a veteran and I won't go. I'd rather go to a regular hospital.
Plus, all your veterans too. You see a lot of them that have a lot of issues, and rightfully so after what they go through if they've been injured.
And I'm gonna tell you all this: if you're a vet and you're listening, move to a state that likes their vets because they take much better care of you. The southern states are really gung ho on that kind of shit, so they take better care of you. If you live in somewhere like New York, Illinois, California, Oregon, Washington, they're going to screw you. So is Nevada. But now New Mexico and Arizona actually do pretty good with it. The Dakotas do pretty good. Ohio and all of them do pretty good. But Indiana, Illinois don't. They're pretty
You know
shitty
what I
money.
was shocked about? Dell started watching this is the amount of stolen valor you guys have in the US. I could not believe that people do that. It blew my mind. Like people pretending they're veterans just to get free stuff and they never
Oh yeah.
served. It just blew my mind.
Well, it's funny because I was just shopping somewhere the other day, and a lady, I was buying Martha, and people, if y'all don't know who Martha is, it's my new gun. So I was buying Martha, and
Yeah.
the lady said, if you're a vet, it'll save you like $100 between the ammo and the gun. I'm like, really? I said, yeah, I served on the USS Nimitz. She's got an ID. I said, baby, I ain't been in service in 25 years. No, I don't have an ID. I
Mhm.
said, so she said, well, yeah, I said, if you think I'm lying, it's fine. And the guy behind me started asking me questions about CV65. And he said, oh, no, his dude was definitely in the service.
Yeah.
He said, so she just wrote it up. And her boss came and he said, no, that's fine. And Lowe's does the same thing, but Lowe's, Home Depot, and Lowe's now want you to have a card. I'm like, people. I said, how long ago was that? I said, like, I even kept that damn idea. I said, sometimes I don't even want to remember I was in the service, people. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Because I don't use any of my VA vets, any of my VA benefits. I don't use any of it. Because really and truly, I've known too many people who went into the VA feeling not too bad coming out or not coming out. So I'm just not feeling the love there. And so I figure that's changing down here because they built a big, massive medical complex down here. It's one of the biggest in the world. Actually, I think it's going to be the biggest in the world. It's on
Mhm.
Tulane Avenue. It's LSU and Ochsner and a bunch of the other ones have combined in these big uses. Well, the VA is right in the middle of them now, so they have to be held to the same standards as all the other hospitals because everything's connected. It's just a massive complex, which is nice if you're sick because you don't have to go from this doctor to that. It's all in the same place, and they're even going to have move and walk, so you can just get on a thing and ride and not have to walk everywhere, which is cool when you're 80 years old. It's probably a nice thing to have,
Mhm.
but still, it's going to cost a lot of money. And Glory, what do you mean, man? Medicaid pays everything. Let me rephrase that. Medicaid pays everything that Medicaid pays. Yeah, that's all I can tell you. No, I got a few friends that are on it, and they almost all their prescriptions are paid, or they're really, really, really cheap. But if it's a drug that's not on the list, you still got to pay full price for it. And most drugs are expensive. Just to put this in perspective, when I got the stent and I got out of the hospital, they put me on Plavix and Nexium. At the time, Nexium was $360 a month. Plavix was $180 a month, and my insurance was not going to cover it. So right
Wow.
out of pocket, every month for a year, I had to pay that bill, and that wasn't even the only prescription they had me on. So I was paying about $800 a month. And then when they took me off of them, and my doc put me on my new meds, they were all free. I was
Mhm.
like, well, that's cool. But still, I mean, and I was making good money at the time. But if I would have been one of them years where we were slow, man, I'd have had a hard time. Because I had my house note was like $1,800 a month at the time, and we had people staying with us. It was a lot of money going through the house. But there was a lot of money left over from Katrina and stuff, so we were lucky. It was just lucky. We were lucky it happened when it happened. 5 years earlier, might have killed me. It's just one of them things. When you do what I do for a living, it's way more stable now. But when I was younger, it's feast and famine, man. Sometimes we made years, quarter
Mhm.
million, half million. Sometimes we made years, $40,000, and yeah, before anybody says anything, some places $40,000 decent income, but no, not where I live. It's not.
Here, not here in Canada or in the US, that's almost just above the poverty line
That's
because
what
of
I'm saying.
Mhm.
It just depends where you are. But when I
Yeah.
was making it, no, I was barely. I had a son, a wife, and my wife was working too. And we were just barely making it. People, things are expensive. And I'm one of these guys that have champagne taste on a
Yeah.
wine budget, on a beer
You're high
budget.
maintenance, Joe.
Damn skippy hippie. I tell people all the time, well, because every now and then some ladies will write to me this, that. So let me tell you something. I said, my wife said, yeah, she'll share. Buy her a Mercedes, she's good to go. And I said, I'm not expensive. I said, I just don't get that shit away for free, man. I said, that does not happen. I shouldn't even say this on air. This lady writes me, she said, well, what do you mean? She said, are you like selling it or something? She said, because I'm interested. I start, so I'm trying to type back because I'm laughing my ass off at the time. So I write back and I said, yeah, sure. It's like $29.99 a minute. And she writes back, that's all? And I was like, what? I said, well, we can go up to $59.99 a minute. Like there was even a shot this was going to happen. And I think she got mad when I told her I was just screwing around with her. And
You're playing
But
hard.
I've had people
I
show
like
up.
that. Well,
I've,
actually, Zach says he has Scotch taste on a Jack Daniels budget.
yeah, you like me. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you down there, Zach. Just one of them things, man. It's I've been boat shopping, right? Because I sold my house. So I was like, I'm gonna buy a treat myself, get me a boat. Yeah, screw that. These things. And don't people do not tell me there's no inflation. I went and looked at boats. These boats are 10 years old and they want $18,000 for these raggedy
Oh
pieces
my
of crap.
gosh.
I'm like, I told the guy, I said, you got to be kidding me, right? He's like, no. I said, dude, the boat looks like it's dirty. I said, get out of here, man. I said, I'll give you 8. He looked at me like, you're crazy. I said, I'm just telling you, I'll give you 8. I'll give you 18.
Has a new boat. Not a big boat, but a new boat we'll be using at the camp, right, Del?
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking for a giant boat or a flat boat. They call them different things in different places. I'm looking for one just a little flat with like a little 15 or 25 horsepower that I can keep out on my dock. So if I want to run through the bayou and just do some fishing, I can. But I want a boat too that I can go out to the island on. So I need something that's at least 22, 23 feet with maybe 100, anywhere from 100 to 200 horsepower motor on it. So because the water gets pretty deep out there, and you don't want to be putting around when you need to get your ass out of there. Because we've been out there. I was out there in a 16-foot catamaran with a friend of mine, and we went down into one valley, and the wave almost came to the top of the damn sail. I was like, nope, I ain't never coming out in a boat this small here again. And I've been in the ocean because I was on carriers. I'm like, nope, this was stupid in the first place. And then my son's godfather, sorry. Paran just means godfather, people. It's he goes out in a 14-foot tri-hull. So we got 2 kids or something. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to kill us? We get into the ship channel, right? This big ship goes by. This wave comes up. So first when I said, Mike, don't try to go over. Just float down into the valley. You're going to kill us, dude.
Oh, wow.
So we tip the boat. We just start sliding down the side of the thing. We get down. I'm standing up. I can't see over the top of the wave, but I can see the side of the boat. I can almost touch the thing.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, nope, that'll never happen again. So that's why I'm looking for something that can get out the way real fast if you need to.
I guess so. Holy crap.
And 2 years ago, I could have got the boat I was looking for about, if I wanted to finance it, for about 15. If I wanted to pay cash, about 10. But now it's looking like it's going to be more than that. I'm like, well, might have to wait. It just might have to wait till prices stable out again.
See, the lake that Dell's family's cottage is on, it's the water when it's calm. It's just like glass. It's in a valley, right, Del?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, y'all fish out there? What y'all catch up there, Del?
Lake trout,
water, right?
lake trout, pickerel, smallmouth bass. I think there's even a burbot down in there, and pike.
I'll tell
And
you
then
one
there's some perch and stuff like that in there too. But
well, what about that time we were on your dock, Del, and there's a giant dock spider, and Del gives it a kick with his foot. The tip of the leg of the spider barely touched the water, and this giant fish just came up and jumped and ate it right off the dock. It was so cool.
Thank you. He's probably thanking Del. Yeah, thank you, buddy. That's lunch, man.
yeah,
It's I've done some pike. I mean, I've done a lot of bass fishing over the years and trout fishing, but I've done some pike fishing. Pike put up a fight. Actually, you already talked about
there's some big lake trout in that lake, but it's all spring fed, so the water's super clear,
super cold.
Like,
it's cold and
cold.
clear.
It warms up, but it's clear. And but like you could be in the boat and you could look down probably about 60 feet and see the bottom. That's how when the sun's right over certain areas there. So it's really deep. Really, it's sort of built in this little valley there. So it gets really weird weather. Like sometimes it could be sunny there, and 2 miles away it could be raining, or vice versa. It's a really weird area.
That lake for scuba diving, all the scuba diving, and people learn how to scuba dive because it's so deep.
That's nice. Well, you always want to train people to scuba dive in clear water. Well, I learned scuba dive in Coral Keys in Florida, and everybody said, "I thought you learned in the Navy." I said, "What I learned in the Navy was different than regular scuba diving." They're like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, this is something entirely different." I said, "I can't even talk about it because it's classified." But I said, "But I learned how to regular." Actually, that was before I went in the service. A friend of mine used to run a dive shop, and he said he was trying to recruit a friend of mine, me and a friend of mine, Kevin, to come work for him. They used to do offshore deep diving for when you go down 30 days at a time. I said, dude, I thought about it. I said, but y'all sound like idiots when y'all talk because they're on helium. It's like they sound like little nice, big, burly guys. Like,
there's a Dr. Lee Merritt, and she's an orthopedic surgeon, but she said she was just below the top level in the Navy. That's how high up she was. I want to say commander. I think that's what she said.
The commanders are up there.
She was talking about some of her training on one of these podcasts, and she said that they had like it went down like 300 feet, but we were practicing diving and stuff. She said, but you couldn't see the bottom. Like it looked like you were literally going to have to jump. You couldn't even see the water. You had to trust. Like
You have to trust.
trusting in the training.
But they do that. So in the Navy, to graduate, one of the things you got to do to graduate, besides running your ass off for 3 miles, is they put you on a platform on one side of a ship. So if a ship's sinking, you've got to trust that when you jump out, you got to wrap your arms around it. But anyway, you got to trust when you jump out and point your toes down that you're going to clear it. If you hesitate, you're going to probably drown, or you're going to land on somebody and kill them. Because if you're not paying attention. So they teach you how to properly jump off of a sinking ship or a ship on fire or things along those lines. And most of the jumps are 80 to 150 feet. They're not little light jumps. It's not like you jump off a dive.
That's why she said that, because it looked like you were going right straight down 350 feet down. There's water, and she said you couldn't see the water. You just had to trust your commander or whoever was there.
Yeah, and you got to learn how to, because they're teaching you how to land so you don't get hurt on impact. And let me tell you what, I watch a lot of guys get messed up at 100 feet drop. Look, they put a couple guys in the hospital. See, we were jumping off bridges down here when we were kids. So I already knew how to do it, but we never head dive down here, and we didn't in the Navy either, because that's the way you get yourself killed. If your head hit something, if your feet hit it first, at least you got a chance to survive. So there used to be logs that would come through the river, funk the river, so we always dive feet first. But I learned how to do it there, so it wasn't a big deal for me. And that's why I was still remember my commander when I walked up. He said, "It's 160 feet, Chuck." Yeah, he said, "The hell?" I was gone. He comes back. He said, "You didn't even have to do it." I told you. I said, "I did this when I was a kid. We used to jump off bridges in the country." He said, "Oh, I forgot you were a redneck." It's not a redneck. I'm a coon ass. There's a difference.
You know who told me that? I could not believe that. Alfred. I was talking to him about you at one of those meetings, and that's exactly what he suddenly dropped into his New Orleans accent, and he goes, "Yeah, Joe and I, we're coon asses."
Yeah, we're coon asses. We're not, because people don't realize there's a difference between rednecks and different things, and coon asses get offended when they get called rednecks. Not exactly sure why, but they do.
I'm redneck. No, it was just so funny because he sounds like a Canadian now when he talks. He's got a Canadian accent.
Every now and then you'll hear a little twinge of New Orleans come out, but he's been a Canadian for a long time.
Oh, that came out big time. Like it was filmed, and he goes, "Oh, I think people are going to really enjoy this. I didn't realize we were still recording." But his demeanor, his accent completely changed. And that's exactly what he called you and him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Alfred Weber, who's a friend of ours. And,
yes.
He's an exopolitics. He's actually the father of exopolitics, to be technical about it. Yes. No. Hold on real quick. Stephen says not the father, actually, even though Stephen is into exopolitics because he's into disclosure. See, I brought all three of these guys on my show: Stephen, Michael Sala, Stephen Bissett, and Alfred Weber, because each one represent exopolitics, but each one represent them very differently. It can be really confusing if you're a layman outside the field going, "What? Wait, what?" Yeah, but they're all exopolitics, and exopolitics is basically just preparation for extraterrestrial contact.
Yeah,
it's setting the rules of engagement from us instead of the government is really what it is. Oh, I've been friends with them a long time. They've been asking me for years to get in their panels. Like, nope, I ain't being a judge. I ain't getting me killed. I said, when the government comes for you, it ain't coming for me, my friend. I said, it ain't coming for y'all. I said, besides, I work for a government. I can't be doing that anyway. Actually, Chris, we're going to go right back to Wuhan for a minute, and then we're going to jump back over to Kamala and to Biden. But
yeah, we got way late a bit.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We got off a little sidetrack, but no. On the Wuhan, so I got to file something. You know what? I will dig them up this weekend. And next Centralist, we do that where we don't have guests on. We will go show you these. These were great pictures. Seeing Beijing as a ghost town with these people walking through, spraying these things all over the place and blowing that smoke all over, watching people being locked down. It really gave me a kind of eerie sense that it could happen to our countries, and it damn near did. It was eerie, but Wuhan was different because first off, one of the first sets of pictures we get is the collapse of the hotel where they had all those people staying and all those COVID victims at. Just like, and I think it was intentional. They keep saying it was an accident, just the facade fell off, but a lot of people died there, and I think they were already dead. I think they were just using it as a cover up, because they probably had already, lost 10 or 15,000 people there, and they were just trying to hide it. There was another way to get out, but they were literally, there was 42 incinerators they had brought into Wuhan. We actually had pictures of those. They were nonstop burning all day long. What was funny about it was 33 of them or 35 of them were set up to burn trash and contaminated stuff. The back ones, which were way in the back, were set up to burn bodies. And that's how we got the original footage, because one of the guys, I guess, I think he worked there actually, and or worked with him. He got the pictures of the body bags, and they were stacked everywhere. Matter of fact, there are pictures of body bags stacked up, moving outside. There's pictures in containers moving, barely moving, but moving. Yeah, well, the people were probably on their way to die. They already knew they weren't going to be saved, and even if they were, I don't think they cared. You know, for places like China, think of this.
I understand that you don't have money, money maybe for that, but why not just give them a shot or something? Like what an awful way to die in a body bag.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Just give them, euthanize them.
Yeah.
There's drugs that can kill you quite peacefully.
Well, there is. You have right to die. You can choose to die in certain states if you're, say, terminal. Or think about
not really. The Supreme Court kind of put a shoo on that. After what's his name, Kevorkian. Yeah, the Fed kind of put a shoo in. I don't look personally. I don't see what the problem is with assisted suicide. Okay, I'll be real clear about this. If you're terminal, I don't see where it's a government business how you end your life.
The government needs to watch people that go through terminal illness, because when you do, you would.
Well, you know what the government argument is, right? It's not that they say, oh no, well, young people or drug addicts might want to do. Well, no, you just say only terminal people can do it. I mean, it's a simple thing. You don't have to let everybody in the country that wants to commit suicide. But
no,
I mean, people need to be able to end their life with dignity if they want to.
Yes.
No one wants to be slobbering their children or doing this or having an ass wiped or whatever.
Joe, I say, you know what, and I'm working in palliative care and with many terminal things, and it's not always like that, but when it's awful, you know what, we don't put our beloved pets through what we put.
No, we don't.
Things through for.
I actually, I still remember when I brought Charlie, and I said, I went and seen the vet, and I said, is he in pain? And I said, if he's in any pain or any agony, I want him put down.
Yeah.
And he said, no, but I'm gonna give him this shot, and and he said he'll go in a day or two, whenever. But he said, but he's not in any pain or anything like that. He said he's just old. He's 18 years old. He's an old dog, and he's on his way. And I said that was cool, and that was fine. But if he'd have been in pain, like with Max, Max was going. There was no reason to make him suffer another 3 or 4 days.
But that's like we do that to human beings, and
that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't.
Let our animals die with dignity. And
now, why I say this, I don't think the children should be allowed to decide this. I'm sorry, people, but some children are just evil, and some children are just greedy if there's money involved. So, I think when a person reaches a certain age, or if they're terminal, and they're like, look, quality of life is gone. I don't want to be here. I'm just miserable to myself. I'm miserable to my family. I'm miserable to everybody. Yeah. I just want to go. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. So why force someone to have to do it to themselves when they could get a nice, peaceful shot in an IV, fall asleep, fade away, and be gone in under 10 minutes?
Have a wonderful day. And there are some states.
Yes.
Places in Canada you can do that, and there's people that have chronicled what's happened. They don't film it at the end, but what they've done to say their goodbyes. They've got to be able to do everything they want still, that they've got enough health, but that
just shows when we want to say we're civilized, but we're not. The world's not civilized because we can't even get along. So that just proves we're not civilized. And when things like this, when you don't want to care for your elder, and you know what? The United States is one of the few countries that really don't take care of their elderly like they should. But like even in China and India, they got respect for their elders.
Absolutely.
In this country, for some reason, that's become a flip flop. I heard a Z Jenner the other day going, well, what does he know? I was like, really, chick? I said, this guy's 60 years old or 70 years old. I said, he knows 1,000,000 times more than you do. I said, he could probably advance your life 2 decades if he'd sit and listen, but you won't because you're ignorant.
Well, that's the big difference that sort of happened over the last sort of 50 years. And you see where it used to be like, I remember when I was even growing up in the 70s, every Sunday we met at my grandparents' house, and all the uncles and aunts and cousins and that, we all ate there every Sunday for dinner and stuff like that. And I noticed that I knew a lot of other friends and families, they would all have like a Sunday dinner together where the family all came together. And like now, the 2000s, I barely even hear of anybody doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just sad that we've reached this state, and it needs to change. I mean, you should embrace it, because I mean, really, they can save you a lot of grief, a lot of problems. No, it's not
what
that.
it is though, too, Joe? To the family structures changed with the divorce. Also with the fact that both, if there's a parent home or two adult home, both people need to work. It's really, really changed, and society is not structured for it. Like there's nothing unusual, say in China or Japan or wherever, where they'll have multiple generations living together, and
And for
that's
a while, it's weird because you're right. And back about, well, Dell's right. We're about 50 years ago. That's how Americans lived.
Mhm.
You'd have multiple families living, or the extended family living
Yeah.
with you, or in the same property or something like that. And you still see some of that in the South, but not near what you used to. But what was funny is the millennials brought it back.
Mm-hmm.
So most millennials did not actually move out of their parents' home until they were
That's
in their
true.
mid 30s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Z Genners might go the other way. They look antsy. They had, the Z Genners are jumpy, sketchy, antsy. They're growing up with influencers. I'm like, what the hell are influencers? People, I'm going to say this one time. When you go watch TikTok, or you go watch Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, those people should not be called influencers. Morons, maybe. Influencers, not so much. Oh, and then I got the big boxing influencer match down in Miami in a couple of weeks. All the influencers from TikTok and YouTube are going to go battle it out.
Now they start to have boxing matches, YouTubers versus TikTokers.
Yeah, they're gonna have a big thing down in Miami for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. My favorite story today was that Kanye West unfriended all of Kim's family and friends. I was like, really? I was like, who the hell put this up here as news, man? Come on. And still, I still had to repeat
we
it.
fought with news, and you wonder why politics uses people like Kanye West and others, because there's people that look up to these people. Like, who really gives a crap? There's way worse things in the world. Go ahead, Del. Sorry.
What wasn't it? I just saw this. I can't remember if it's Nigeria or it's Nicaragua. I think it's Nigeria. They have blocked Twitter in their country. They said no more.
Yeah.
Right, because they have an election coming up, and Twitter is playing around with facts and deleting tweets and stuff like that. So Nigeria has blocked Twitter from inside the country.
Well, that makes country, I think, 30 now that's kicked them out. Germany kicked them out over Trump.
Good.
He said, yeah, so did Mexico. They're like, no, if you think you can take a president off your thing, no, we don't want you in our country anymore. Well, I could not believe that Merkel came out like that. Go ahead, sorry.
They did influence the election. They did, because that's where a lot of people get their news, or they talk about stuff, or they see stuff, and it was either censored or just wasn't shown, or whatever would happen. Like they definitely had an influence on what happened with your election. I'm sorry, but they did.
Well, they did to an extent. I mean, Twitter doesn't have enough followers to change an election.
Facebook did.
But Facebook did. But the problem is, half of Facebook was pulling for Trump. So, and that's what they said. That was the whole point. They said that Trump won the first election because of Facebook and Twitter. That's what they said. But then we found that wasn't exactly true. This time around, Twitter was doing a lot of stuff, but a lot of people have left Twitter. Twitter doesn't have as many American followers as people would like to think they do. Most conservatives and middleists and all have left. It's pretty much just a liberal base now. So the only thing their influence is in their own parties. It doesn't really matter. And Facebook's pretty much the same thing now. And Facebook, I noticed, is taking a more middle of the road approach to it. They still got Trump banned, but they talk about him all the time. But they're not banning people for posting Trump stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, since after the election they're not, but before they were.
Oh, because they were getting sued. And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of new rules getting ready to come up. Like we were talking about the Wuhan thing. So going back to that for just a minute. So our Congress decides, so all this kind of research is now banned to be funded from the United States completely. Anything the United States was funded has now been canceled, pulled back, and it's actually illegal for us to do this from our country now. So if you're in our government, or like Mr. Pucci, I'm sorry, I call him that, and you give money to China, someone like that, to develop a virus or help a virus, that's it, you're going to prison. Now, that should have been how it was from day one. It should have never had to wait till we had a, because what's happening here is America's going to hem and haw around all this as they can. But what's happening here is this this is now tying the United States to this virus. Now, we may not have been the ones that released it, but if we helped it develop it, that means we're partially responsible for what? Reparations. So the U.S. is going to do it. That's why Fauci's coming out now saying, oh, no, this was the Chinese did this. And you're going to see the U.S. take a much harder stance on this now because, it's got to be blamed on them firm. Because if there's any wiggling room, we're going to catch part of the blame. So, the U.S. should have thought about Trump was right. He told everybody this is what went down. Nobody wanted to believe him. He told everybody that Fauci was an idiot and a jerk. He was right. Pretty much everything that man says, and I hate agreeing with that bastard, but a lot of what he says just turned out to be true. And every conspiracy that NBC and CBS and CNN said was false turned out to be real. They should all be fired.
I agree. Totally.
Marsha, CNN sucks. Look, I'll be totally honest. When Desert Storm came out, I started watching CNN. I was like, man, CNN rocks. They got there getting shot at, ducking bullets, getting in places they shouldn't be, doing shit hardcore reporting, trying to talk to the enemy. I said, I like these guys. They got their shit together.
Yeah.
They were great.
And they
10
did.
years later, 10 years later, they become a liberal shithole.
No, the thing was funny is that what they exposed there, I think it was off the CNN one, was they were doing reporting in front of a green screen. They weren't even in the zone they were saying what they were using props.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I forgot his name. He got busted for that hardcore too. But the other guys were actually legit. A couple of them got hit.
Cooper?
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper.
I can't. No, it wasn't Cooper, because he wouldn't still be on the network. It was somebody. He was pretty famous at the time, whoever he was, and I can't think of his name. But he was up there. And somebody said that the network told him he had to do that. They didn't want to put him in jeopardy because he was like one of their number one anchors or something. But all them other reporters were out in the field, and they were the ones who were doing the work. They were getting him the information and describing to him what was happening, and they were trying to reenact it back at the hotel for him. Or they were taking bits and pieces of what the guys got in the field that day and then putting it on the screen. Either way it went. Now, there was a few times that you tell they were there because it wasn't just them. Other people were in the hotel, and something would explode, and all the windows would be blown out the hotel. You'd see like it come off of 4 different networks because it happened to Fox, CNN, because they were all in the same hotel. Those you knew were legit, but you had to be careful. But still, they did hardcore reporting there. And they got some really good interviews from a lot of big people there. But that was the last glory for CNN. Since then, they have been just on a downward spiral. And last I heard just recently was they're borderline bankrupt. NBC's holding its own, but they got Rachel Mad Cow Maddow. She's all right. Now that I know she's not a liberal like everybody thought she was.
Well, I think the big thing is with all those mainstream media, when it used to be the big 4 or 5 there, that was all that the channels are. Now there's millions of channels now, and people can go and watch it for free. I don't even know any of my friends there that own cable anymore. Like cable
I know, and I
TV.
gave it up a long time ago. Yeah, I use my internet stuff, and I when I find friends of mine or younger people who are still doing, I say, no, let me show you how to do this. You're screwing yourself. Because my cable bills were always between $100 and $400 depending on what I had. That's count internet, but now, I mean, let me see. We got Disney Plus, which I think comes with Hulu. We've got Netflix. We've got Prime. Got a couple of little pay stations. I think HBO Max and Showtime. So all together, I think I pay $60 a month plus my internet. So the internet's for the station, so that don't count. But so say like $60 a month. And if I was still on cable, those would have been $25 each, by the way, or $15 each. So that would already been like $90 plus.
That's what our cable was like.
So, and that was not without internet. So that would have been with the cable. That would have been like $225. And then when I added in my internet, that would have been another $100, like $325. Now I do pay good money for internet here, but that's because the station consumes, ungodly amounts of bandwidth. It's and it's a good connection. It's a business connection. You're always going to pay more for business connections. And it's last month's bill was $4,700, I think, actually.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, well, the station pays for it. As long as the station pays for it, it's not a big deal. Old days, I had to pay for that shit, but it pays for itself now. And it does. It's getting better and better and better, but it's hard out there with all this crap going on to keep going. And people write into me. I don't know how you keep doing what you do every day. I've watched your life. I know how busy you are. You got to be insane. How do you do it? And I'm like, well, it keeps me occupied, number one. So I'm not thinking about stupid shit like, stupid shit. I'm not going to say what because I don't want the Fed kicking my door in. But what did you say? Yeah, come with us, buddy. No, I was just teasing you. Yeah, sure you were teasing, buddy. Sure you were. I don't know about all that. But anyway, switching over to Kamala right quick. I know we get really close on time. Real quick, people. We're going to talk about Biden really fast because we were supposed to talk about it. We forgot about it because he's forgettable. What can I say? Kamala, all I can tell you is the Guatemalan government. You can go read the new. Don't go watch CNN. CNN all but her ass and Biden's you know what. But that's not what really went down. If you go look at the European papers and the Mexican and Guatemala papers, you'll find out that's not what went down. So the Mexican president basically called her a moron and sent her home. Both governments told her they did not consider her to be a legitimate VP. Right. They think the election was stolen. I didn't realize that South America thought the election had been stolen, and Central America.
The whole world knows that, Joe.
So anyway, they're down there with Trump signs. But anyway, so they're basically thinking, no, you don't know what you're doing. The Mexican president told her to tell Biden to send someone who knows what he's doing. It's all over the Mexican newspapers. And the Guatemalan government basically said the same thing. When you're ready to really fix the problem, send somebody who can fix the problem. She's not the one. So that's killing her. Plus that stupid shit she said on TV the other night really just kicked her in the ass. But here goes Biden. Biden's in Europe. Well, America's back. Boris is like, America never went anywhere, Biden. You know that, right? He's like, what are you doing? America's back. America ain't never went anywhere. He said, everybody in the world knows America's still over there. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Boris agreed with him to help him. So anyway, Canada's got more vaccines than it'll need for the next 10 years coming. They offered y'all another 80 million. You don't even have 80 million people. Give me a break. What the hell are they doing? We're giving 500 million to I forgot who it was, but they're getting them. India. And then the 7 countries agreed to give out another 1 billion COVID shots to other poor countries. Yeah, that's right. Sterilize everybody. We know what's going on here.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
So that's what a friend of mine said. That's when he asked me about the show. He said, he's talking about. I said, dude, I'm almost 60. I'm not planning on having any more kids. He's like, oh, that's right. And I'm like, yeah. I said, this is what bothers me about the vaccine. I said, personally, I think if you're 40 or under, you shouldn't have took it. Okay, I got COVID at 57. Yeah, it kicked my ass, but I survived it. So if you're under my age, you should walk through it fairly easy. So yeah, I didn't see the need. Now when we're talking about doing kids from 6 to 16, that bothers me, man. If the vaccine had been out and this CRISPR technology had been out for, it's the first thing that's, it's a 10-year technology. No, bullshit, it's not. It's a 10-year technology for whatever the hell it was doing, but it's not for this. Mm-hmm. This is a whole different thing we're talking about here, and the thing was adjusted accordingly. I said, so no. I'm like, and the FDA still has not fully approved it. Just emergency approval. So what? I mean, now we've got all kind of people ahead. It's been tested on, 2 billion people now? You would think they would go ahead and get it full approval, but they won't. John Marsh said it's because he wants to leave it open in case something major happens and there needs to be suits. Because once they approve it, it goes back to what Laura Lee and I always argue about, you're screwed. You can only get X amount of dollars. Once it's fully approved by the FDA, I don't know what the top out amount is. It's not
absolved of all onus of anything with this vaccine.
I think the max you can collect is like $50,000, and you really got to be messed up to get that. I mean, you got to be like 1 foot in the grave or some shit.
They're involved and that's been my whole thing. What's the onus on them, the big pharma, to create something safe when there's no culpability in any way, shape, or form? It doesn't matter. They could be putting Javix in there, and you know what?
So it's interesting you said that, because one of the scientists at the WHO said this was a good thing, because since America wouldn't give them outright approval other than emergency approval, they had to be extremely careful, because right now they are culpable. They can be sued, and they can be sued in a major way. But again, and we don't know when this is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So if you know somebody who's sick or been hurt, messed up by this virus, sue now. Because once the FDA says, that's it. You might get some, but you might get $5,000, maybe 10. You ain't getting nothing else.
Right now, Joe, I know tons of people who have been messed up. I just took a screenshot.
Oh, yeah, didn't get anything. No, I wouldn't even argue with you that at all. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. That's why I'm telling people now. You get a lawyer. I know a guy who he's 36. He had a little heart thing from Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one it was. They gave him $76,000. That's what they gave him.
Got lucky.
and they're going to pay his medical bills. But that's what the lawyer's saying. He said, you got to do it now. He said, if you wait, because most people think this is going to be approved fully within 6 months. If there's not a bunch of deaths pop up
They
all of a
come out
sudden.
on camera and said they will not get their employees. They won't force them to get it, and they will not approve it. That it's only emergency use. That's the only reason why it's in there.
As long as it stays
Well,
an emergency.
I think the interesting part's going to be here is once it's the first set of shots that went through, and then people get pregnant and there's birth defects afterwards. So coming up in the next year, that's going to be the interesting thing, because this is the problem with this. It's called a medical instrument. It's not called even a vaccine. And the problem is that they never ran any long-term tests to see what after effects can happen on a population. Right now, the world is the guinea pig right now. And so what's going to happen there, if the approval happens or not, they're going to see what's going to happen after the first pregnancies get born here. And if there's kids are coming out deformed or you can't get pregnant.
Well, but we've had pregnancies born since they first started vaccinating. But we've had pregnant women. I let me rephrase that. Which, by the way, I didn't think about that until you just said this, Del. So there have been pregnant women have gotten this shot. And they've had kids since then.
Lots of miscarriage, and this drives Del crazy because they're saying miscarriage is up over 500%. And Del says you can't ever go over than 100%. That's his big pet peeve. That is what they're reporting, miscarriage in pregnant
women.
I
agree with you, by the way. I hate when they do that shit. It's 1,000% up. No, asshole.
You
can't go down.
And he rants and raves.
Oh, no, I agree with him on that. I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, once you break 100%, I mean, you pretty much maxed out. I mean, let's be honest about it. Yeah. But I do know why companies do that, say 500%, because they're like, well, it's usually 50 people, and now it's 5,000, so that's up 500%. Well, not really. It's just up, that many more. But still, you can't go over 100%, so you can say it's up like 99.9995% or some shit.
You can say that it's gone up 500 times over what it is, but the percent never moves from above 100. Yeah.
Carly, no, we're going to run out of time. We're going to get to talk about Biden, but he was not warmly welcomed overseas. I'll tell you that much. Boris Yeltsin, talked with him and all, but Boris, basically, if you look at the UK media, they don't like Biden, and I don't blame him, and then Merkel don't like him either. So this is what's funny. Merkel didn't like Trump, but they didn't like each other because of a particular thing, and that was Trump said, "You were not getting Russian oil, assholes. It ain't going to happen. They're an enemy. We're not allowing you to have it." Now, this should piss off every Canadian in the country, in y'all's country. So we cut off the pipeline to y'all, but we told Russia, the one we cut off when Trump was president, you know what? Go ahead and give Germany oil.
Yeah.
Really? So we're going to screw our allies and fix our enemies. I'm like, what?
Yep.
And you
like
bitch about
that was like the next week after he shut that down. It was like the next week they were already putting that in
like
place.
A bitch slap to Canada. It was like let's say, look, Mr. Pink Shorts, you should do what I told you, which was what? I think Biden, I really don't think he knew what he was doing, just like with the border. I think if Biden would actually took the time to read how the border was set up, he'd have left it alone. Because I've noticed since then, a lot of Trump stuff he's left alone. Like the stuff that comes with the economy, he didn't go screw with it. He left it alone.
Well, I think that one part there with that pipeline that Biden shut down there, I think that there was already deals between Canada and American companies there that were already put in place and money expended, and he just shut it off there. So I think there's going to be some lawsuits going on.
Oh, no. So this is exactly what – and America's famous for this shit. So when a new politician comes in, they'll shut something down. Well, we're going to have to pay for it. It's still going to get paid for. You're just not going to get any – we're not going to get any oil. You're not going to get it. It's just – y'all not going to get the sales from oil. We're not going to get the oil. But you're going to get your money back for the pipeline. But that's all you're going to get. They're going to say, okay, well, we're going to pay you for the full contract or what it would have cost to build it, and y'all can just dole it out, but that's it. But that's not a fair thing because you got to think about the money that company in Canada was going to make in taxes off that pipeline. Mm-hmm. And now they're talking about cutting down the other one, the one in Michigan that comes from y'all, they're going to cut it down. So what was going to happen is we were going to have y'all give us one pipeline that brought in bitumen, and we were going to refine it instead of making y'all do it. And we were going to send y'all back sweet crude, which is less, it's got way less pollution in it. It was a great deal for everybody involved. Y'all get a cleaner burning oil. We get more oil independency. No. Our president's like, well, I'm a moron, and oil independence. We don't need that. We need more windmills. Yes, we do, and some solar panels. And,
Yeah.
and now this is another crazy. See, such how stupid liberals actually are. So liberals been honest. Let's get windmills. Let's get solar panels. So now everywhere they want to build these windmills and these solar panels, the activists are losing them out, which are liberals, by the way. No, we don't want them. We don't want them here. We don't want them here. Oh, it kills birds. So they found out in the Sahara. They put out a big 2-mile across solar panel in the Sahara. Guess what happened? It creates so much humidity underneath it that it's growing green grass and changing the climate.
Yeah, love it.
So it's sort of like, you gotta be shitting me, man.
Hey.
And the windmills they said the windmills in Texas alone last year killed at least 100,000 birds.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, well, I'm like, look, people, but y'all want to get rid of oil. Instead of getting rid of oil, maybe they should just figure out the way to make it as clean as possible. There's lots of ways to clean oil, and you can make cars burn way cleaner. I know just in my generation, they've made cars cleaner, 60% cleaner than they used to.
Okay.
Why don't we push that up to 99%? Or let's make real hybrids where we have a gas engine that powers the electric engine, but only powers it. It doesn't drive the car, just powers the engine. It powers the generators and the battery.
Mm-hmm.
And that would cut gas consumption down to nothing, and you would have reserve power. You could even use it for your house and shit. No, we don't want to be smart. Even though Ford is, real quick, we got to go. Ford has gotten intelligent, people. So Ford's coming out with the new Ford Lightning next year. 562 horsepower pickup truck, all electric. And it's great for people like me who live in the deep south because if a storm blows your house away or kills your power, it can run your house for 3 days without recharging.
Wow.
So then you can recharge your car and run it for another 3 days. So it's an interesting thing. I don't know why, I submitted a plan for a self-generated electric motor when I was 29. Me and a friend of mine who was also in electronics, we sat down and designed one, and we submitted it and got a copyright on it. No one's ever used it. We made 2 little electric cars that worked perfectly. We just never had the funding to really build one. But it wasn't that complicated. And what I never understood about this, this has got to be about money. So you've got 4 wheels in a car. If you put an alternator on every wheel, you got surplus power. I mean, one alternator will run a gas motor and charge a single battery with lots of power left over. That's why we got voltage regulators. If you put 4 of them on there, you could easily charge a whole lithium battery and keep it charged the whole entire time.
Well, that's the whole thing about the electric cars and the braking system that they recharges as the car is moving. It's recharging the battery as it's going. Eh?
Yeah. So that's what they need to be. They need self-generating electric cars, but right now they want to use gas engines or hybrid gas engines or something like that, or they want to just plug it in like Tesla does. Just drive it and plug it in. No self-generation going on. And I understand why, because a self-generating car doesn't make you any money once you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not buying power from anybody.
Yeah.
Right now, you got to pay for your power, just like you got to pay for your gas. But if somebody invents self-generating, it's more than that. If you've invented a self-generating car that you could put like if you had one of the garage stands where your wheels could turn, it could power your house, anything you wanted, and never really, it wouldn't cost you anything. So your house and your car electricity would be free. See, they don't want that. That's the same thing. Real quick, that's what goes back to poor Tesla when he invented the way to power electricity without a meter. They weren't going for that shit. No way they're going to give the whole world free electricity. He invented 2 things: one that could have been used from space, and one that pulled electricity from the air around it. But you couldn't charge it. There was no way to meter it. No way at all. And they haven't figured it out, or they'd be using it today. Mm-hmm. They're not going to give us free energy. They're like, give y'all free what? We give y'all nothing free, people. What are you? Just one day the planet will be something other than money. But right now, unfortunately, that's where it's at. But I know we got to get out of here. So, Del, tell them where they can find you, where you at, and where you're going to be.
Yeah, you can find me. Find me Tuesdays at 9 Eastern. The Delicious Recipe, and this week Tuesday we have Varla Ventura joining us, and with Laura Lee there.
Yes, he did.
Who's this Laura Lee person I keep hearing about? Okay, there she is.
Yeah, you can find me on Monday nights here on UPRN with the Angel Rock from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. And I'm having Michael Roser on. We're going to be talking all about the UFO disclosure stuff. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk Joe into joining us.
Michael's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun to talk to. We crossed shit the last time him and I talked. I think we crossed like 25 topics or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah.
What do you mean third eye of the moon? Yeah, he does. No, he's not third eye of the moon, but he does stuff with him. Yeah.
Third phase of the moon. He's dark
Third
hour.
phase. Yeah, so you got the damn thing wrong putting up there third eye of the moon.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it didn't sound right when I said it, but hey, I didn't know. I don't pay attention. Yes, but anyway, we got to get out. Y'all can find me, Oh, and don't forget, guys, starting the last 2 Fridays and the last Wednesday, we will be doing stuff that shows up for People's Choice Awards, and we're doing pretty good from what I hear. So the real voting, though, don't start till I think July 1st or the end of June. So we'll have some people joining us, and John Goodwin and Emily will be joining me, and maybe we get Doria to come on from Alabama. All these people are from features. I think Amelia and Amelia Pond. Yes, Amelia Pond. It's not her real name. Her real name is Amelia Pisano. And no, you don't know who Amelia Pond is? Get the hell out of here. Doctor Who, people. Doctor Who. Oh, I forgot we're not on a paranormal show. I apologize. Show never mind. Yep, I not know who Doctor Who is. Never mind. I apologize. But anyway, that's Amelia Pond, and of course Michelle DeMoche. We all three, John Goodwin, and myself, and Michelle and Amelia, have shows up for People's Choice, and hopefully next year we'll have more shows up. We had 3 this year. I'm hoping 5 or 6 next year. Oh no, we'll start pushing as soon as the election's done. We'll be pushing for more shows next year. Oh yeah, now that we know how to get hold of these people and get them submitted, we're going to get them in there. Well, these 3, we were hoping that these would get picked up as an experiment. We weren't sure. But next year, we'll put all the good shows up for them and see what happens. Yeah. But be sure, if you can, go check out People's Choice. Vote for somebody. Vote for us, yeah. What do you mean? I'm hoping to get like a Mercedes-Benz out of this, or maybe a Lamborghini. Yeah, like one of them old Countachs or something. I like that old body style. With the gull-wing doors and shit. Yeah.
The Lamborghini Countach.
Chris, that's not a suicide door. It's a gull-wing door. Suicide doors are the ones that open opposite each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a suicide door. Yeah. They call them suicide doors because they open opposite. When you walk, you might run into the damn door. That's what they call it. Anyway, yeah, they still got cars with suicide doors on them, but still, not many. Not many with gull doors on them either. Hey, you know why you don't buy a car with gull doors? Have you ever tried to park one in a parking lot with gull doors? You better hope the car. Yeah, you better. But see, DeLorean was smart though. He made his car narrow enough that you could open your doors up and not hit the cars next to you. Porsche, not Porsche. Let's see. It was Lamborghini. There was 3 Ferrari and one of the other ones. It starts with an M. No, a B. All 3 of them, when they made their cars, if you pull in a parking lot and somebody pulls on the side of you, you're not getting in your car.
Yeah.
The doors can't come up. It was a bad design.
That's why they made those other doors that went straight up, eh?
Yeah, the ones that went. That was what they had to do. Yeah, because the other ones went out like these people. You got to have X amount of clearance, or you're gonna smack somebody's door. But anyway, we got to go. Coming up next is Kathy Belsky with Quantum Leap, Miss Hawaii herself. She's way out on the West Coast. Yeah, she is the West Coast. She's in the Pacific Ocean, way out in the middle of the damn thing, people. She lives on a volcano.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Good night, guys, and stay tuned. We'll see y'all in a couple of days.
Okay.